Hey, I'm Bree, and this is my sister, Jules. I'm an English teacher.
And I can't stop obsessing over that Diddy trial.
And together, we drink wine as we unpack the brilliant writing of the hit 90s sitcom, Boy Meets World. Cheers!
Cheers!
What are we drinking?
We've got a rosé all day.
There was an article in the New Yorker this week about perfume, and it was going through all the things that they use to make perfume, and elephant pee was not on that list.
Okay.
It was a bunch of like musk from animals, though. And there are definitely like glands in animals that they do take secretions from to make perfume, but it wasn't pee. But I am tasting animal gland in this. Like I'm getting that same funky perfumey thing.
There's something really savory about this that I really enjoy.
That's a good
it's a bit
way
umami.
to say it. Yeah. Ooh. And I think I wasn't ready for that funk. It's so weird how humans are so malleable, right? Like you just tell me like, oh, it's a little funky and umami. I'll be like, oh, yeah, it's so fancy and good. But if you're not ready for that, you're like, wait, this is disgusting.
I could drink a whole bottle of this. So
Okay.
I never said what we're drinking. We are drinking Whispering Angel, a rosé from France.
Provence is the area of France, right?
Côtes de Provence rosé is a wine from the vineyards of Provence, Corsica. It is therefore produced in the southeast of France. In its most straightforward definition, côte means side.
Side.
So like side
Yeah,
of
like coast.
France. Yeah.
Is it like the coast of Provence? Is there
Let's see
a
where it is
coastal
on the map.
region? Oh, maybe the like bank of the river, the Rhone. I feel like I should have done this research before.
Yeah, La Côte is coastline. But according to this wine, I wonder if you agree with this or not. For the palate, you get a red berry fruit characteristic with floral notes.
No, that's a good description. Some people don't like when the rosé tastes like water. I kind of want rosé to taste like water. I like when it's super light. I don't know. I feel like I'm drinking the dew of a mountain. You know how they used to think like spirits when they would like distill alcohol, the liquid that would be evaporated was offered up to the spirits or something. Hence why it's called spirits.
Oh,
Anyway,
so you want that.
So I want the essence
consume.
of that. Like I want to consume the whispering angels, if you will.
Oh, this does not remind me of Whispering Angels. This
Right.
rosé. It's very forward in your face.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Maybe not very, because it could be more. So
Yes,
but
yes.
it's like more so than I think I would prefer it to be. But again, as does happen with wine, the more I drink it, the more I'm like, oh no, actually, it's very easy. And now that my
your palate adjusts to it.
Exactly. Let's get into it. The title of the episode that we watched this week is The B Team of Life. This is the 14th episode of season 1. The synopsis: a frustrated Cory scores a bench position on the basketball team. Air date, January 28th, 1994. Written by yet another new writer, Jeff Menel. Also directed by David Trainer. Viewers 21 million. What were your first impressions?
I had a feeling it was a different writer.
Yes,
I
me too.
wasn't used to this episode. Felt different in how the dialogue worked. My first impression was I feel like the dialogue was not very smooth, and I felt like I was watching some cheesy sitcom.
Yes, especially with
beginning, at
Eric's
least.
lines, right?
Yeah.
Or I felt that. Totally agree. A little bit cheesier. Did you have a fashion moment?
I loved Cory's basketball sneakers personally because
Yeah.
I had basketball sneakers that kind of looked like his, and it reminded me of those.
You were a basketball player.
I was.
I don't do ball sports.
Yeah, you were not into contact sports. Didn't you get hit in the face with the soccer ball and you were like, never again?
Actually, I don't remember that, but that checks out.
Yeah, I did all the contact sports. There wasn't a sport that I didn't do, I don't think.
Yeah. Good for you. Yeah, I was scared of balls. Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing!
My fashion moment was actually when Feeney was doing the like Neanderthal thing where he was doing the presentation on the evolution of man, and Minkus was standing next to the girl, and then Sean was next to her. Her outfit I was like, this is my fashion moment. It was so 90s.
Did you ever wear anything like that back in the 90s?
Probably. It was very Clarissa Explains It All. Like almost like take a pair of jeans, cut them into like Daisy Duke shorts, but then cut them even shorter and just have the strip at the top where there's like the buttons, and then sew on cloth fabric that's like floral print and make it a skirt with just like a jean waistline to it. And then have like a jean vest that has like the same floral print as the skirt sewed onto the sleeves to make it like a dressy poplin sleeve, but it's denim. And she's wearing a black t-shirt under it. It was just like, what's happening?
It was so 90s.
So the recap. So we start off in the hallway. There's this very tall new character basketball coach who comes out and pins a piece of paper on the wall. And it's clearly the list of all of the boys specifically who made the basketball team, separated by the A team and the B team. And Cory's like, there it is, the list. Who made first string, who made second string, and who didn't even make the basketball team. And Sean's like, what do you think is worse, second string or not making the team? And Cory says, second string. What do you think is worse, second string or falling out of an airplane and landing on the Empire State Building on your eye?
Cory has such an active imagination, as Morgan says later on.
Oh my God, speaking of Morgan, wasn't she better in this episode?
She was so much better.
You could tell someone talked to her.
At one of her lines.
Same. It was very obvious that someone coached her and they were like, no more yelling. We don't need to yell everything. It's funnier when you don't yell.
Yeah.
And I noticed that her first line was like particularly soft.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm a princess. She like almost whispered it. And I was like, what? What did you say? Speak up.
Don't do it.
Minkus goes up. He's like, I made the B team. Can you guys believe it? Wait till I tell my father. In one line, he told an entire backstory about him and his dad and how much his dad wants him to be probably less of a nerd and more athletic and more sporty, so he gets very serious about it. I thought it was so good. This kid has lived 1,000 lifetimes. He's amazing.
He's amazing. He really is.
And then we have a new kid, Harris. And
his fade.
Oh my God, his hair.
Back. Yeah.
That was also going to be my fashion moment, but I was like, I don't know if that's okay. But his hair was amazing. It was very 90s. It was very do the right thing. Anyway, they're just like Sean checks the list. He's like, Hunter, Sean, A-team, surprise the rumma. You know what that reminded me of? Eric, the lip master.
Yeah, cheesy lines, but he does a good job with them. He delivers what he can with the cheese lines he's given.
He does. He owns them. That's what makes a good actor. Harris made the team. Robertson, Harris, A-team. Air Harris. I like it. I'm going to have to shave this. Cory's like, Matthews, Cory, A-team. Wait a minute. They spelled A with a B. There's your cheese. Sean goes, come on, guys. It's got to be a typo. And Cory's like, it's handwritten. Just drop me on the Empire State Building. He opens one eye with his fingers and he just like drops his head down. Theme music. We're in the classroom. Feeney's doing his lesson on evolution, Homo sapiens, modern man. The Neanderthaloids made and used tools. Now, can anybody tell me what was going on before the Neanderthaloids? Anybody but Mr. Minkus? Take it away, Minkus. And Minkus has like actually a beautiful line. I thought the writing was lovely. 1 billion years ago, the world breathlessly anticipated the emergence of life from the pre-biological organic compounds of the sea. Sean bops him on the head with the tool. And like the way Sean did it was so soft. Like it was just like, boom. And I thought it was kind of sweet. It was kind of cute.
They're low-key such good friends. I love them.
I know. Feeney's like, all right, you can take your seats, thanks. So what Mr. Minkus is saying is that we were waiting for the lowest form of life to crawl out of the slime. Cory walks in right at that moment. I'm here. Sean's like, Mr. Feeney was just talking about you. Cory, he basically says, nope, it's not a mistake. I definitely made the B team. And Minkus is like, hey, you too? Congratulations. Did you tell your dad? And Cory's like, no, I happen to like my dad. Bell rings for lunch. Cory doesn't go. He stays behind in the classroom. So now it's just Feeney and Cory in the room. And Feeney's like, aren't you going to lunch? Cory's like, why eat? Eating would only help keep me alive. And basically, Feeney teaches Cory this lesson about how sports is survival of the fittest, which is what they're learning, right? Charles Darwin, and he compares Cory to a dodo bird. If you're not strong enough, you get cut. Like, that's kind of how it is. What do you think about that? Do you think that was like okay for a teacher to teach a student?
It was pretty brutal.
He kind of made up for it at the end, though, because when Cory stands up and he's like, I just have to evolve. Like, I just have to crawl out of the slime. And Feeney says, it's so easy. So it's clear that he knew what he was doing.
Right,
and he was trying to get Cory to come to that conclusion on his own. But do you think there's value in teaching kids that in some cases there's a little bit of natural selection that goes on? Or do you think that teachers should always be teaching kids there is unlimited potential for anyone, and like if you work hard enough at something, you can achieve it?
I think there's a bit of a balance there. I think there's something to be said for both, which is interesting because we kind of get both in this show, with this episode talking about natural selection and getting cut versus you could do anything you put your mind to, Cory. You can be a baseball player professionally, right?
Jim Abbott. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you taught Jim Abbott, well, natural selection, baby, you're missing a hand. It's not going to happen for you. He wouldn't have ever become the baseball player he became, you know?
Yeah. But maybe that was Mr. Feeney's way of saying, like, hey, like, natural selection, like, what are you going to do about it? And Cory's like, I'm going to evolve.
Yeah, except that's not how evolution works. But, yeah.
If I think really hard and, like, flex my muscles, I will evolve.
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis.
Okay, so speaking of, like, just deciding you're going to evolve, we're in the bedroom, and Cory and Eric are now having a conversation. Cory's like, Eric, you're here. And Eric is lifting weights because apparently all of the entire population of straight girls in the 10th grade are dating seniors.
This is the most unbelievable plot line to me. I'm like, Eric is such a good-looking 15-year-old, and he's, like, kind and all that. Who wouldn't date him in high school? Like, everybody was matched up in high school, in my high school.
It's unbelievable. I think Eric struggled a little bit with delivering his lines in this because his lines weren't great. I think probably the writer had seen the episode where he like threw that bag of soil and was like, ugh! And then also the scene when you're nothing but a posier. Oh, really? How do you like this pose? Ugh! He does a funny impression of bodybuilders. So this was kind of a chance to give him a moment to like shine with that. So he's lifting weights and he's doing crunches and he's talking about how he like needs to work out because girls are only going for seniors with their stupid cars and their Burger King training hats. And he's calling himself scum. And the other point of this scene is like he's not really giving Cory the attention he needs. Cory needs to talk to him. He's like, I need your help. You're good at basketball. I need you to teach me basketball. And Eric is ignoring him because he's too worried about his own problems. So this is all building up to Cory feeling like he's on the B team in his own family, in his own life, because he's a middle child. And that's what this is really about. So we cut to the living room. Morgan is dressed up in this princess costume and Amy is trying to like hem her costume. Cory comes down and he's like, I'm home. No interviews, please. And Morgan's like, I'm a princess. And then we get that line where she's like, barely saying it because everybody told her to shut.
She said it like a princess. She got lessons from Julie Andrews.
I would watch that spinoff. Cory's like, yeah, and I had lunch with Elvis. And Morgan's like, somebody's in a snicky mood. And Amy's like, what's the matter, Cory? Your first game didn't go well? And Cory's like, yeah, it didn't go well is the thing you could say. Want to hear about it? And Morgan's like, the cookies are ready. So there's like a ding and Amy gets all flustered. I got to get the cookies. Sorry. So Cory gets ignored by mom now. Alan comes down and, Alan apologizes for missing the basketball game. And basically then Eric comes in and Cory's trying to tell them what's going on, but there's too much happening and everybody's just having conversations over him. Now Eric is asking for $36,000 because
he's a
he
crazy
wants a
man.
Car.
No, he wants a Corvette.
He wants a Corvette. And he's like, Dad, I can save you.
He doesn't have a license. He's cracked. He's desperate.
And when Dad's like, You're not even old enough to drive. Eric's like, oh, so now you're on me for not being a senior? Jeez, Eric. Cory finally like breaks through all of the chaos. No one's listening to him. And he performs what I think is probably his best scene since the beginning of the series. Hot take. I don't know. Maybe you don't agree. He had a lot of lines to memorize. And I thought that the way that he did this was really good. So basically he's like, Wildcats are down 2 points. And he says it really loud to like interrupt everyone. With only 1 minute left in the game, the ball inbounds, he flies down the court to take the pass, he shoots, he scores, it's a tie game. Mustangs try to toss to midcourt. I dart between two humongoids and snatch the ball. Their only hope is to foul me on purpose. They do! I'm at the line. There's no time left on the clock. The crowd goes nuts. Cory! 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 The ball leaves my hands and arcs in super slow motion as the crowd goes deathly silent. And then, swish! Nothing but net. The crowd goes, ah! I win the game! Like, that's a lot to memorize, man. And
that's
whole
a lot,
time...
and I commend you for redoing that.
Eric's like, amazing. And Alan's like, I can't believe I missed it. And Amy's like, oh my God, you're such a hero, Cor. And Cory's like, no, I'm not. You know why? I didn't even get to play. I just made all that stuff up. So we get to the real issue here. That's when Morgan has her line. He has an active imagination.
He
Cory
does.
says,
That he does.
Yes. And Cory's like, you know why I don't get to play? Because I'm just a second string bench warming nobody. And Amy's like, there's nothing wrong with being second string. And Alan does this line really well too. He's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being second string. Like, he doesn't believe it at all. He just knows he's supposed to say that. And he's like, why didn't you tell us before, Cor? And Eric's like, he told me. It's going to cost me the car, isn't it? Alan's like, why didn't you tell us? You're supposed to tell us what he says. That's why you sleep in the same room as him. And Cory's like, you see?
I laughed at that.
It's funny because we shared a room.
Did mom and dad ever ask you, like, what's Julia doing in there? What's
all the time.
going on?
Yeah, no, they were always
Really?
asking me. Yeah, they were always asking me like what you said because you didn't say anything ever. So they were always like,
because they never asked me about you because they probably never had to. They never questioned the thing because you are a yapper.
And you are not. Yeah.
That's funny. Oh, that's so funny that they would ask you about me.
Yeah, like, did she say anything? Like, what are you hearing? But I was just always on your side. Like, I was like, no, she didn't say anything.
Because I didn't.
I know she didn't.
I would go
but if you had, I wouldn't have told them.
I would go into my room, put on my little iPod shuffle, listen to my mix that I made, and just like go under my blanket because I didn't go under the covers. Just listen to music. Probably some instrumental.
What is that video game that you were obsessed with? That you would listen to the music from? Kingdom Hearts. Yeah.
Yeah. I was obsessed with music.
Anyway.
I learned Japanese for
You did?
I did. I learned how to play piano and I learned Japanese and I like played the Japanese music on piano.
So Cory's like, you see, I'm trying to spill my guts out and you guys are having a family meeting. This is why I have to make up a whole exciting life to get any attention. Being second string in basketball is hard enough, but I'm only on the second string in my own family.
What you know about middle child syndrome?
0.
Me neither. We don't have a middle child.
Man, it must suck for you, Cory. We have no idea what it's like. We're so used to getting all the attention.
No, I am fascinated by that. I know it's not like a legitimate clinical term, but it is interesting to talk about.
If any of y'all out there are middle children, please feel free to comment and let us know what it's like because we don't know. So we're in the kitchen. And Alan and Amy have a cute couple talk, which I just love them as parents. And
as a couple, they're so cute.
They're so cute. They're so in love.
And they're so in love. It's beautiful. It's really inspiring.
It really is. So Alan's like, why don't you want me to go up and talk to him? And Amy's like, because I think you and I should talk first. And Alan's like, about what? Cory had a basketball disappointment. He's overreacting. I'm going to go tell him that. And Amy's like, is he overreacting? I just think that Cory is going through middle pause. I mean, this week, Eric has girl problems. Morgan needs to be a princess. And there's a kid in the middle that didn't get heard. And Alan's like, because there's 3 of them now. We let ourselves get outnumbered. Amy's like, go team, go. And then she like smacks his butt. And he's like, hey. And she's like, just a little sport thing.
spicy.
Yeah, as an adult now, I'm like, oh, good for them. But as a kid, I was like, ugh. Why are they showing this?
No. Well, we never saw any of that, so like, absolutely not.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? Parents?
We were Cory in the last episode.
Yeah. So then we're in the cafeteria. Mingus is like, wasn't that a great game yesterday? Sitting on the bench, cheering on the team. I'm still pumped. Mingus Abdul-Jabbar.
Mingus Abdul-Jabbar.
I love how he uses his last name too. Like it's his last name plus Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's last name. Stuart Abdul-Jabbar. So Sean comes in. He got an old edition of Sports Illustrated for Cory, and there's an article in it on great sports figures who sat on the bench before they got their big break. Isn't that so sweet of him? Oh. I also love that they bring each other like magazine articles and newspaper clippings. I'm like, good for you guys and your current events and your reading. Corey's like, really? He's like, yeah, it says that Steve Young sat on the 49ers bench for 5 years before he became the starting quarterback. Also, Harris is back in here. So we have the third friend now has lines. And I was like kind of rooting for him. I was like, I feel like they're trying to find a good regular third friend for them. And I was like, I really want this kid to be awesome. But I just felt like he was kind of fallen short. Like he wasn't bringing something new funny to the table that I felt was like lasting, you know?
And like necessary for them. Yeah.
And honestly, like Topanga's character is interesting, but I also kind of feel like early Topanga wasn't the best actress. Like I think she got by on her big hair and her memorable look a lot more, but she kind of had like a very robotic way of delivering all of her lines. I wondered if they considered not bringing her back, and then she ended up just like getting some coaching and coming back.
Yeah.
I wonder why she's not there now.
I wonder, I'm so curious about that process in the writing room of how she ended up being such an important character to the show and a main character.
I know. I always wonder about those decisions.
Some executive had something to say. I'll tell you that.
I know. Low key, I feel like I'd be kind of good at that. But I'd be like deciding who vibes with the show and who doesn't, and being. But I think a lot of people would probably be good at that. So Cory gets all excited, like, yeah, maybe I can be in the game today. Like, you know, Harris is like, maybe coach will put you in today, and Sean's like, maybe you'll score 20 points, and Cory's like, yeah, maybe I'll be on the A team permanently. I'm gonna be the season MVP. I'm gonna be unstoppable. And then the coach walks in. Matthews, why are you suited up? Second string doesn't go to the away games.
Oh, that hurt me.
That's
so messed up.
It is messed up.
And it's like, okay, maybe it's a budget thing, but like, what if all the players get hurt and there's no second stringers on the bench?
I don't know
They're
about
part
a budget
of the team.
No, it's probably like a bus. There isn't enough room on the bus. But if they can bring themselves to the game, then there's no issue. Anyway, so we're in the living room. Cory walks in. We get a little bit of a Home Alone moment. So he's like, anybody home, Mom? Probably baking cookies with Morgan. You know, there was a time when you used to bake cookies with, and I'm talking to nobody, as he opens the door to the kitchen and sees no one's there. Anybody home? Well, the furniture's still here, so he didn't move out without me. So he watches TV.
He's so dramatic.
You laughed too.
Furniture's still here, so I guess you didn't move out yet. We'll see.
Wait,
they're probably with the real estate agent.
He's like, 6:24, dinner time, and nobody's home. I'm 11 years old. Come on, I'm on a schedule here. What am I supposed to do for food? So he goes into the kitchen. He sees that that Feeney is barbecuing. And so he does this genius move where he calls Feeney's house. Feeney's phone rings. So Feeney goes inside the house to go pick up the phone. And then Cory comes out of the house and steals the chicken. And then he hides because Feeney's coming back, and he throws the chicken in the soil. And Feeney's like, Mr. Matthews, what are you doing? And Cory's like, I'm burying a hamster. And Feeney's like, I say you basted the little cadaver with barbecue sauce. I don't know why, but that was like, ooh, cadaver. A cadaver basted with barbecue sauce was quite a visual. Cory says, Mr. Feeney, nobody's in my house. My family's abandoned me. Feeney's like, is that so? Why would they do something like that? Cory's like, maybe because I only made second string and they're ashamed of me.
The drama.
Yeah, everything is definitely about you, man. They abandoned you because you made second string on your middle school basketball team. And Vinny's like, you think that's what happened, huh? And Cory's like, that's why I'm trying to survive on my own. I mean, I saw your chicken cooking, and the voice of Chuck Darwin. I don't know why that made me laugh.
Oh my God, I laughed because why have I never heard that? Chuck Darwin? That's hysterical. He sounds like a jazz musician. Which,
Chuck
by
Darwin.
the way, since we're talking about Charles Darwin, he was also a middle child. Did you know?
No.
Yes.
Wow, it all comes together. So the voice of Chuck Darwin whispered in my ear, just do it. Survival of the fittest, Mr. Feeney. You taught me that. Feeney informs him that they actually went to the basketball game. And Cory's like, my family went to my game. Why? And Feeney says, one would assume they wanted to watch you play. Cory's like, but I mean, I told them second string doesn't get to play. We just sit on the bench and rot. Feeney's like, well, then one would assume that they went to watch you rot. Cory's like, my family drove all the way to Cheltenham to watch me sit on the bench. Feeney's like, yes, Mr. Matthews, they did. Cory's like, why would they do that? Feeney says, well, perhaps if you kept listening to the voice of Chuck Darwin, he might have told you that the highest form of evolution is a family of human beings who genuinely care for each other. I like the sentiment, but is that true? Like, did Charles Darwin believe this?
I don't know if he specifically talked or wrote about that, but I do understand this idea that like herds that stick together tend to survive. If you stay in a pack, you're more likely to survive. I think that was what he was getting at.
Darwin's family was central to his life, and he was involved in his children's care and surrounded by them at work. He wrote to his father about how happy he was when he was a child, and his father was always with him.
Oh, Chuck.
Also, Darwin married his first cousin.
Oh, Chuck.
Darwin's marriage to his cousin raised concerns about the health of his children due to inbreeding. The death of his daughter Annie from tuberculosis at age 10 led him to worry about the effects of inbreeding on his family.
Now he's worried about inbreeding?
You would think of all people Darwin would know about genetics enough to be like, no, this is a bad idea.
Yeah, this is like, what, mid 1800s? We know how bad that is at that point, don't we?
Cory says, what if it seems like sometimes they don't care? And Feeney says, sometimes you have to give your family the benefit of the doubt. That's part of your personal evolution. Do you know what happens if you stop evolving? And Cory's like, I end up like this guy. And he's talking about the chicken covered in dirt. And Feeney's like, more or less. What do you think about this idea that like it's part of Cory's personal evolution to give his family the benefit of the doubt sometimes? Do you see that as like a universal thing for humans?
Yeah, totally. I think giving the benefit of the doubt is important.
Yeah.
Not jumping to conclusions, not overreacting as Cory tends to do. His mind tends to wander. So, yeah, absolutely.
I definitely think the journey of everyone's life is you start off absolutely devoted. If you're in like a healthy family situation, let's, not talk about the extenuating circumstances, hopefully rare, but unfortunately more common than should be, circumstance of like having a very unhealthy family dynamic. But in a fairly healthy dynamic where there is love and everyone's doing their best to support each other, I think that the natural kind of flow of things is you start off totally devoted to your parents, to, the people who are taking care of you. There's some kind of betrayal, or there's some kind of there are many moments of like having the veil lifted. And this comes with also discovering that your world is imperfect, not just your family. And and then you go through this phase of like totally rebelling, like, because you were completely 100% devoted, now you're going to be completely 100% against, right? Rebel, it's the same energy, but we flip to the other side of the spectrum. And then as you evolve out of that, which that's usually adolescence, you move towards being able to embrace nuance and being able to embrace the complexities of human beings and of your world. And you start to see your family through a more forgiving lens, and you can accept them and see where they were coming from and see that everyone was just trying their best and loved you. So that is part of Cory's evolution, because it's part of all of our evolutions to, you know, come around and give our families the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, they made the wrong choice there, but they loved me and they were just doing their best.
They were just doing their best. Exactly. Yeah. There might be more to the story, right?
Yeah. He ends up driving him to the game. Cory says he'll buy him some corn dogs because Feeney needs dinner. And we end up in the living room after the game. Oh, by the way, I didn't want to skip over this. Like, Cory does this the whole thing where he's trying to get Feeney to drive him, and he's like, "Please, Mr. Feeney, my family's finally there for me. I need to be there for me, for them." And then he starts crying, and Feeney does this line that I feel like he has said multiple times in the whole show, like in all the seasons. I feel like he says this, and he goes, "Oh, have some dignity, man." Like, that sticks with me. I remember that from childhood. So they go, Eric. So now we're in the living room and the whole family's walking in because the whole family went to the game. So Eric's like, what a night. Those 6th grade girls thought I was so cool. And I was like, oh, okay. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
You're like,
it is kind of gross,
older.
but that was his arc for the episode of like, nobody likes him in high school, but hey, at least these kids have a crush on him. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. It's like, I'm a senior to them.
A win is a win, I guess.
So Amy goes to tuck Morgan in. Morgan is cute and wants to say goodnight to Cory first. Alan's like, well, hero, say goodnight to your sister. And Cory's like, goodnight, Morgan. So, by the way, we didn't establish. So Cory did play. He got some play time. And just in that little bit of play time that he got, Morgan is like, my brother's so cool.
Well, he got 6 points, I think.
Yeah. Which is
that's
awesome.
huge. Yeah.
That is huge. So Morgan kisses Cory, and Cory's like, must you kiss me? And then she's just like, mwah, 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 mwah.
I'm like, Morgan, are you cute? Did I not know that you're actually a cute little sister? I had no idea.
Yeah, someone fixed it. Someone was like, we're going to make her cute. She's supposed to be cute. She's not cute. Let's make her cute.
Right.
Cory's like, 6 points. Who would have thought 3 first stringers would foul out and they need me to jump in? And Eric makes a line that I'm like, okay, that was a good line because we needed that. He goes, yeah, maybe your coach learned to bring a couple second stringers along with him on the road, to cover his butt. Like, yeah, that coach. I'm glad the coach got a little bit of justice in this episode. Like, we got to get a little moment of like,
yeah,
coach, not cool, They're
just as part of the team as everybody else.
Yeah, that line was so unnecessary. Why are you suited up? Like, he's in 6th grade. Like, talk to him. Anyway, so Alan's like, I'm really proud of the way you handled yourself. And Cory's like, 3 baskets in the last minute, Mr. Clutch. Sure, we were up by 31, but still. And Alan's like, well, I'm not talking about basketball. I'm talking about the way you handled things today. You came into an empty house. There's nobody here, but you don't panic. You commandeer the neighbor's car. Eric's like, and the neighbor. And Alan's like, and you get yourself to the game. And Cory's like, it's called survival of the fittest. I was explaining it to Mr. Feeney earlier. So Amy comes down and says Morgan wants Cory to read her the story tonight, like her bedtime story. Cory's like, I think I can squeeze in a little green eggs and ham before I hit the showers. And Cory asks his mom and dad, like, hey, how come you guys drove all the way out to my game? I mean, you knew I was going to sit on the bench. You must have had something better to do. And Eric's like, me? No. No one wants to date me. I got nothing else to do. And Alan's like, well, Cory, it really doesn't matter for us if you sit on the bench or if you score 100 points. And Cory's like, come on, it does. So, and Amy's like, no, it really doesn't. I mean, there are times when I catch your father just watching you sleep. And Alan's like, only if there's nothing good on TV. And Cory's like, you still watch me sleep? Do you watch Eric? And Alan's like, yeah, I'll probably stop when he's a senior and he gets a life.
Damn.
Also kind of weird to be watching like your 15-year-old sleeping. I don't know why it like freaks me out. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like once boys are like adolescents, it's kind of like maybe just let them sleep. I don't know. I don't want to be in that bedroom after lights out.
Oh no. Yeah. Me either.
Eric's like, hey, thanks for your support. I think I'm going to go into the kitchen and eat something that causes a lot of zits because it really doesn't make any difference. And then Amy's like, look, Cory, there's nobody in this family that's going to be disappointed by you being second string, third string, or no string, as long as you try the best you can. And Alan's like, we're only disappointed when you don't tell us if something's bothering you. And Cory's like, well, I tried, but nobody was listening. And then Morgan comes down. She's like, you know who's in my room telling me a story? Nobody.
Oh, that was good. I liked that.
But Amy does the right thing. And she says, come on, honey, you have to wait a minute. We're talking to Cory.
Nice. There you
and
go.
That was the moment Cory needed. He needed someone to say, nope, we're choosing you right now. And Alan says, well, look, Cory, you're going to have to make me listen. And this part I remember from when I was a kid. I remember this moment. And Cory's like, how? And Alan's like, just grab my face and say, hey, Dad, listen to me. As long as you got my face, you got my attention. And Alan's grabbing Cory's face. And so Cory grabs Alan's face. So now they're both grabbing each other's faces. And Cory goes, Dad? And Alan goes, yeah. And he goes, let go of my face. And I feel like I saw the actor, like Ben Savage, stifle a laugh. But maybe it was me.
Yeah, and I saw that too.
But he like wiped it off really fast. Because there was no edit there.
He did. Yeah.
Right? He like pulled it together. Got in character. And then Cory says, I feel kind of bad about the things that I said. But I was like, why does he feel bad? What are the things he said?
I think he was referencing saying things, maybe not to them, but in general, saying that his family doesn't care about him. And he's realizing that is so not true at all. And he wasn't seeing how like things were just happening and, you know, life happens. And he realized that he was so ridiculous and silly for thinking that they didn't care and that they were selling the house and moving out without him.
Yeah, but he didn't say that to them. I felt like all he did in this episode was like speak his truth. Like he said, I feel like I'm second string in my own family. Like that's how he felt. You know, I never felt like he said anything that warranted him being like, I feel bad about the things that I said. I you know what I mean? Like, I wish that line was tweaked a little bit. Like, I feel bad that I doubted that you guys loved me or something. Then I'd be like, yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's what he meant by that, though, right? And we get that with what happens right after, where he basically is like, look, I go to my friends' houses. I've been to a lot of my friends' houses, so I see their parents, and I know the good from the bad. And he doesn't exactly say it, but he essentially says, like, you guys are one of the good ones. And I think that was him being like, I'm an idiot for even thinking that you guys weren't as good as you are as parents.
And that's his evolution moment.
And that's why he feels bad.
I understand it. I just thought the line wasn't the best way to word it, because I don't think he should feel bad about speaking his truth about feeling like he's on the second string in his family, because he was feeling that way, you know. But yes, exactly. Then that whole part where he was like, I've seen a bunch of parents and you guys are the good ones. Like, that was such a wonderful thing to say to his parents at such a young age. Like, oh my God, so sweet. But he doesn't say it. And he just goes, and Alan goes, and Cory goes, and, well, what do you want from me, blood?
He can't quite go that far. It's too much.
He can't go that far. It was really sweet, though. And so Morgan gets her story, and then we sort of get, like, that's the false ending, and then we get the button in the hallway. And they just like tacked on a totally unrelated thing where Cory and Sean are just talking about like Feeney's driving. So Cory's like, I'm telling you, Feeney's a maniac behind the wheel. I didn't know a gremlin could go that fast. And Sean's like, no way, Feeney? The guy takes 20 minutes to peel an orange. And Cory's like, hey, I was in the car. He was clipping corners, driving on the sidewalk, catching air off speed bumps. And Minkus is like, Mr. Feeney burning rubber? I think not. And Cory's like, I think what we see in the classroom just may be the Clark Kent side of Mr. Feeney. And then the coach and Feeney walk into the hallway, and coach is like, I would have had you if that light hadn't turned yellow. And Feeney is like wearing these aviator sunglasses and like leather gloves and just goes, hey, you snooze, you lose. Well, that concludes the episode. What are your takeaways?
I want to know your takeaway first.
My takeaway is like unrelated. The way that this episode handled a young kid being home alone and then like getting himself to the game was very casual. And it kind of made me think about this book that I had to read for school, The Anxious Generation, which I have a lot of critiques on, but the general gist of it, this NYU business professor, Jonathan Haidt, has written these books, one of them, The Coddling of the American Mind, and then The Anxious Generation. And his kind of like thesis in both is honestly that like kids need to be given more chances to kind of roam free, make their own mistakes, rough around and get bruises and like try dangerous things and fail and like learn from that. And I think one of his best like analogies is he talks about how they tried to grow trees in a like simulacrum, like a bubble, to see if they could eventually grow trees on Mars. And what they found was that the trees would reach a certain height and then they would topple over with their own weight, and that's how they learned that trees need wind and they need stress from nature so that they grow stronger roots. So he says that that's kind of a good analogy for kids. They need to have difficult experiences in youth in order to kind of learn how to navigate their world and learn what to do in difficult situations, right? Like, so I liked that the family was fairly chill about Cory like coming home to an empty house. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, my baby, we're home and like you were alone and I'm so proud of you and you figured it out and blah, blah, blah. And I'm so sorry that we weren't here. And it wasn't this emotional thing. It was just like, hey, I'm proud of you. You figured it out, man. Like good for you. Yeah. And that's how I think it should be. Like, I think kids shouldn't be treated like they're so fragile because then they never learn how to do anything. Anyway, what did you think about this idea that like your evolution in life is to like learn to give your family the benefit of the doubt?
If anything, it makes me think about that again, right? Like that my family and everybody in my life has nuance. So I always consider that in any sort of decision making that happens or any sort of, especially with, our parents, right? Considering nuance, considering their life experience.
I love that we have a new memory of the family now. Like, okay, we got to see them go through a trying experience together and come through it. And like, we see how close their bond is.
I continually love to see this family. I fall more in love with them every episode that I watch, and I hope that continues. I just love the dynamic between the parents and the kids among each other. I love all of it. It's wonderful to see.
Agree. Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, please rate us 5 stars. The name of the wine we had today was Whispering Angel Rosé. Next week's episode is Season 1, Episode 15, Model Family. Follow us on Boy Meets World Podcast on Instagram. Theme song credit goes to Julia Rosa. We'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye.